It was supposed to be a fresh start. After years of saving, my wife, Claire, and I finally bought our dream home, a charming, secluded house nestled in the woods. The property was everything we wanted: quiet, surrounded by nature, and far enough from the city to feel like an escape. The house itself was old but well maintained, with a sprawling backyard that led into a dense forest. The realtor had mentioned that the previous owners left in a hurry, but we didn't think much of it. People move for all sorts of reasons, right? The first few weeks were perfect. We spent our days unpacking and exploring the property. The backyard had a small shed, which we planned to turn into a workshop for me. It was overgrown with ivy and looked like it hadn't been used in years, but it had potential. One afternoon, I decided to clear it out. As I pulled away the vines, I noticed something strange: a small rusted padlock on the door. It was odd because the shed didn't seem valuable enough to secure. Curiosity got the better of me, and I broke the lock with a hammer. Inside, the shed was dark and musty, filled with old gardening tools and broken furniture. But in the corner, partially hidden under a tarp, was a large metal hatch in the floor. It looked out of place, like something you'd see in a military bunker. I called Claire over, and we both stared at it, unsure of what to do. The hatch had a heavy handle, and after some effort I managed to pry it open. Beneath it was a set of narrow stairs leading into darkness. Claire hesitated, but I was too intrigued to stop. I grabbed a flashlight and descended the stairs. The air grew colder as I went deeper, and the walls were lined with concrete. At the bottom, I found a small, windowless room. The space was empty except for a single chair in the center and a strange symbol painted on the wall, a circle with jagged lines radiating outward. The sight sent a chill down my spine. Claire called down, asking what I'd found, but I didn't know how to explain it. I quickly climbed back up and closed the hatch, deciding to deal with it later. That night, I couldn't sleep. The image of that symbol kept replaying in my mind. Around 2 a.m., I heard a noise coming from the backyard. I got up and peered out the window. My heart stopped. The hatch was wide open, and the shed door was swaying in the wind. I woke Claire, and we both went outside to investigate. The hatch was still open, but the stairs leading down were pitch black. I shone my flashlight into the hole, but the room below was empty, just as we'd left it. Reluctantly, we closed the hatch again and went back inside, chalking it up to the wind. The next morning, we found something that made our blood run cold. Scratched into the back door of our house were the words, "You shouldn't have opened it." Claire wanted to call the police, but I convinced her it was probably just kids messing around. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. That evening, we heard footsteps coming from the basement. We didn't have a basement. I grabbed a flashlight and a knife, and we cautiously made our way to the door that led downstairs. The door was slightly ajar, even though we always kept it locked. I pushed it open and shone the light down the stairs. The basement was dark and damp, with a low ceiling and stone walls. It looked like it hadn't been used in decades. But what terrified us the most was what we saw in the corner, a figure hunched over and facing the wall. It didn't move, but I could hear it breathing. Claire screamed, and the figure slowly turned its head. Its eyes were hollow, and its mouth was twisted into a grotesque smile. We ran back upstairs and locked the door, but the sound of footsteps followed us. We called the police, but by the time they arrived, the figure was gone. They searched the house and the shed, but found nothing. The officers suggested we install security cameras, but I knew it wouldn't make a difference. Whatever was in our house wasn't something a camera could stop. We moved out a week later, leaving everything behind. The house is still there, empty and untouched. Sometimes I drive by just to see it, and every time I notice something new. A light on in the attic, the shed door slightly open, or the hatch in the ground ajar. I don't know who or what is living there now, but I do know one thing. We shouldn't have opened that hatch.